Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 42, the Jackie Robinson episode of the podcast. I'm your
All right.
host, Spro, and with me all the way across the world is Mr. Longbox.
What's up, guys?
This is our first time ever doing a digital type over video call, but you are away on business.
That's right. Well, it took us 42 episodes. Now we've gone international. I'm
Exactly.
I'm in the Mugello Valley of Italy, about 20 minutes drive southwest. I'm sorry, southeast of Florence, with a
And you're
group of
doing
about 50, and a group of 15 students. Me and another professor. He started the program. I co-direct it with him now, but we're here uh, with for 5 weeks teaching. I'm teaching students travel writing, speech, Renaissance cultural history, along with my colleague he's an English professor. I'm a communication professor, and he's teaching 3 different classes. So we're going to be traveling to Florence, to Rome, to Venice over the next 5 weeks. And along the way, I'll be scouting out all the Panini comic book shops that I could get my hands on,
yeah.
see what they got for me.
And you'll be doing comic book signings, like all of our Comic Room Pod listeners that are over there in Italy, because we have thousands, if not millions, of them over there. So you got big
Yeah,
signings coming
I'm
up.
a little worried because tomorrow I'll be going into Florence, and I'm thinking I might have to, I don't know, I don't have any security. I might
Yeah,
be recognized. I might not have a moment's peace,
it's gonna be
but
tough.
I'll do the best I can.
Well, we'll definitely miss being together, that's for sure. But this will
Yeah,
do for the next several weeks. Yeah, so today we got a pretty normal standard episode. We got this little introduction. We got a handful of news. We got a new Superman trailer. And yeah, we're just gonna talk shop after that. Maybe talk a little bit about the market, do like a little market checkup because it's been a while since we've done that, and then we'll see where the wind takes us. So yeah, let's get into show and tell today. Only I have show and tell, and
yes, I might have some later, but I haven't gone shopping yet.
so this show and tell is not a comic book. It's not related to anything comics. This was a gift
Ooh,
that I got for my birthday. For my friend, I just had one of my friends come up the other day. We went out to this wine bar, had dinner together, hung out, and he brought me my birthday gift, which was 2 months ago. It was the first time I've seen him since. This I was not expecting this. This really surprised me. When he asked me what I thought it was, I was just like a Funko Pop or something, like something small.
wow.
This is the opposite
Okay.
of a Funko Pop, and this is the opposite of a small gift. This was like a handful of people chipped in, but this is a
Ooh.
Derek Jeter signed baseball.
Oh, wow. That's a beautiful signature too. Gorgeous.
Authenticated and everything, little authentication sticker. Yeah, just I was completely silenced, muzzled as soon as I opened. I did not know how to respond. I just looked at it and I was like, you could have given me a million guesses, and maybe about 800,000 guesses isn't in. I would have finally gotten to that. But yeah, just some pretty
Wow.
cool. We're some sports fans here, so I just thought this would be cool to show off. Just
That is
something
amazing.
super unique, and yeah, a
Uh,
collectible for sure. So
oh, big time. And he's your guy, man. He's the captain.
yeah, he's the reason why I'm a Yankee fan here in LA. When I was in middle school, I got home from school. I just turned on the TV. TBS was on. The Yankees were playing the Orioles, and I remember watching Derek Jeter at shortstop, and I was like, I didn't know you could play baseball like this. Like this is smooth as
Ooh.
butter. And so
Yeah.
I was a Yankee fan ever since. So nah.
Yeah. That's how it goes with sports. Sometimes you're just a player you love, and that you follow that player to whatever team he goes to. And now Jeter, just different. Almost a man out of time to play just for one team his whole career.
Yeah.
That's it made it amazing. So, and he had
Yeah.
a flair for the dramatic, man. Wasn't his last at bat a home run or a double or a triple or something crazy like that? He
His 3,000th hit was a home run. Yeah. And
That's
he's
what it
not and
was.
he's not a
Yes,
home run
3,000.
hitter.
Yeah. But was anybody really surprised?
Yeah,
Just
seriously.
I mean, I know we're going to get into the comics, but I just have to say this about Jeter. And I'm not a Yankees fan, although I was born in New York, so I have some Yankee blood in me in there
Sure.
somewhere, right? But in my cousins are Yankees or Mets fans, depending upon which side of the table they're sitting on. But
Yeah.
but the thing about Jeter is he brought to the Yankees something that I don't think they had since the Reggie Jackson years. I mean, they had amazing players from those World Championships until Jeter got there. But Reggie was dramatic. You hit the 3 home runs in a World Series. He was just bigger than life. Jeter was the same way, as a player. You came to expect the unexpected, the drama, the big moment, the clutch hit, the amazing defensive play to beat the A's,
Yeah.
the shovel to Posada. I mean, just crazy stuff like that. And he had that special something as a player. So, you know, he's a great player when even the fans of rival teams have to just accept his greatness,
Yeah.
and he's on that level. So that's a cool gift, man.
Yeah, it was
Don't you love
cool.
that when people get you something like that, just they know you're gonna love because they love you and they know you?
And just
That's
totally
cool.
shocks you. You just don't see it coming. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the best.
that's good friends, man. Keep those
Yeah.
good friends in your life. Yeah,
Amen.
right on, dude.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Jeter was also, this is the last thing I'll say on Jeter. He's also like the antidote to like the 90s roid era. Like just big dudes like
Yeah,
Mark McGuire and you know the Sammy
Sosa
Sosa
Bonds.
and yeah, yeah, like all like he was just like finesse and just so smooth with it. Like he might not hit the big nuke in at the end of the ninth inning, the walk off home run, but he's gonna base hit up the middle, going oppo into
Mhm.
right field, so the guy on third comes in smoothly. Like just finesse that was almost forgotten in the 90s for a long time. So I think that's kind of like
Yeah,
what skyrocketed him to popularity was it was just different.
and I never had to hate on him because my team plays in the National League, and so we weren't making any World Series in Jeter's peak years anyway. So although in 2002, but the Yankees, you remember that, well, you were a little bit, the Yankees lost the Angels and the Rally Monkey that year. And
Right.
here I was thinking, as a Giants fan, ooh, cool, we got somebody else beat the Yankees for us. This is going to be great. And then we lost. And then we lost to the Rally Monkey, so it went that way. But so I just got to, you know, I was one of the doubters at first. I was skeptical of him, like, yeah, I think he's overhyped because he's on the Yankees, blah 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 blah. And time and his just talent made me, really look foolish for that take because he
Yeah.
was,
That's
he's
what good
awesome.
players do.
First ballot. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what LeBron
And then
does.
what legitimate fans do is respect it, A, and then B, accept it.
Yeah.
Not like I'm gonna die on this hill, even though it makes me look like a fool to everybody but myself. You say, all right, he's proven it, I accept it, and awesome. I'm glad I was here to see it, even if I
Yeah.
wasn't a fan. Now Jeter, like I said, I could appreciate him because he wasn't killing my team. Not like Kobe. I and when Kobe was playing, I hated Kobe because he killed me and my
Yeah.
team every time.
Your team wasn't that
That's
hard to
cool,
kill
dude.
back in the day. So
I
if you
know.
if you didn't think
Yeah,
we had
but
enough content for a sports podcast, you guys are sorely
yeah,
mistaken here.
yeah. We may have to. Yeah, who knows? But anyway, all right. So
All right.
that's really great. I love
Thank
it.
you. Yeah. All right. So news. We got a lot of comic book news this week. So let me go ahead and share my screen. This is a fun thing about doing these video calls is I can just show. Here we go. All right. So now, if you're wondering where we went, I don't know if it's the same for you for me, but for our viewers, we're down there at the bottom. Screen is here on top. All right. So first piece of news: James Gunn says he received encouraging updates from Matt Reeves for the Batman 2. So all right, we're making
I'll take
progress.
it.
It was looking really grim. It was looking real grim for a couple weeks there. So that's great to hear. Next bit of
Yeah.
news is as what is this one? Oh, this is from I don't know. It might be Threads. It's another platform that James Gunn uses. I don't think he's on Twitter anymore. But somebody asked James Gunn, is Matt Reeves still directing the Batman Part 2? James Gunn says yes. Huh? Question mark. So if you remember, I don't remember if it was last week or the week before, we were talking about how his name wasn't tied to, or wasn't like on like the production weekly thing for the movie. So it seems like somebody asked him, got some clarity, and he was just kind of confused by it. So that's great to hear.
Yeah, those are both good pieces of news.
Yeah. And another piece of Batman news. This is from The Wrap. Matt Reeves is expected to submit the first full draft script for the Batman 2 by Memorial Day. So this is probably the biggest piece of news, is that the script's got to be done this weekend. So
we all know where the writer is, right? He's holed up somewhere, freaking out. Nobody talk to me.
Yep, he's in the dungeon for sure. Yeah, he's probably not sleeping much this weekend. He's getting this first draft done. So that means hopefully in the next few weeks, couple months, we'll get some. If they like the script, if they like the draft, they'll obviously probably send back for some changes here and there. But that means casting pretty much would follow, and then it would, just all the pre-production would start. And I think that right now they're saying that they're aiming for an early 2026 film, which lines up with, at least from what's public, for Robert Pattinson's schedule. They just finished filming The Odyssey 2 weeks ahead of schedule. So Christopher Nolan is out here being efficient. 2 weeks ahead of schedule, wrapped up.
Who's this guy? Wow.
So then I think
maybe he's a Batman fan.
Yeah, he's like, yo, we got to finish this and we got to get Pattinson ready.
Let's get our priorities straight here.
So I think next Pattinson would have Dune, if he does decide to sign on for that. So so things are looking good. We got some spring hope there.
I think Pattinson and Chalamet on screen together will be cool, by the way.
Yeah, it would be cool.
Similar energy.
Yeah, I agree. James Gunn says that he is currently writing a script for an unannounced DC film. That's about it. I don't have anything
unannounced, Steve.
Yeah. What do you think it could be?
I think it'd be the Inferior 5.
There you go. Yep. Everybody get your first appearance of Inferior 5.
If that happens, you and I can take 10 victory laps, especially you.
Oh man, that'd be crazy. Imagine. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. I'd say it's got, the Mavs got the first pick in the draft with 1.8% chance. So if it's a 1.8% chance that it's gonna be Inferior 5 that he's riding, I'd take that to the bank.
Yeah, that would be funny. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he could do it, but I don't know really what. I don't think it'll be something we expect, just based on what we know about James Gunn. I don't think it's going to be, the next Wonder Woman movie, something that's out there, with a big character, something smaller. Maybe he'll do something like Teen Titans. Has that been talked about yet?
No, I think people have speculated alongside you on that one. Is that I think it would be, especially if the. Personally, I don't fully quite buy into it yet that they're going to reboot Batman or like cast another Batman. I think that they're really going to wait to see what goes on with the Superman movie, which we'll get into in a little bit. And I think kind of based off that, I don't think the DCU I don't think like James Gunn is going to be done. I think they'll continue to let him do his thing, but I think it'll be a matter of like if Superman doesn't do as well as they think, then I think in that scenario they're like, okay, you have to put Rob Pattinson's Batman into your universe, because the Batman made 700 million at the box office, like 770 million at the box office. So if Superman doesn't do that or get close to whatever their goals are, I don't know, whatever it would be, then they're going to be like, okay, you need to take this successful property and you need to tie it to that. I don't think it'd be like, okay, well, you need to can everything and then build from the Batman universe. I think they'd just say to merge it. So But I think if the movie does well and it surpasses, whatever their kind of number is, then I think in that scenario they'd be like, all right, yeah, do what you want. We'll just keep on doing this with Matt Reeves, and then you can do a new Batman, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing your voice, but you're frozen on my screen. I don't know if you're frozen on your screen. Am I moving around on my screen?
Oh, I am frozen on your screen.
So, but anyway, well, you're gonna unfreeze and
There we
I'll
go.
there you go. Okay, yeah, I think that developing the Teen Titans property would be a really great idea because you're coming with a targeted audience already. They could say, look, we're gonna make. I'm not saying it would definitely be this way, but we could do. It's a 90210 vibe for a superhero group. You could have that there. It's a demographic that's built in literally to the name of the group, and you could really have fun with that. I think that could
Yeah.
really be a good almost a blue chip, low key, but blue chip group. They could definitely do that. So, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm pretty specced up on Teen Titans, so that'd be great.
Yeah.
Do it. Let's go.
All right. Next piece of news here. My camera go away again. I think I need to just keep it like this. To Marvel news, Kristen Ritter is back as Jessica Jones for Daredevil Born Again season 2. This is big news, bringing those Netflix properties back. I think we're all excited about this. She was a great Jessica Jones. I only watched the first season. I never got around to the second or third season. I think the second season didn't get a ton of love, and so in the third season they tried to bring back Purple Man. If my memory serves me right, like how that show shaped out, and it just didn't do as well as the first season. Like bringing back Purple Man didn't solve the problems that they had with the show, and so they got canceled after that, along with the rest of it. So, but either way, I think she was definitely well adored by the fans. So
Absolutely, and she shows up and she's in Defenders too, right?
yeah, she's in Defenders.
It's been a while. Yeah, she was good in that. She's just a great. She plays the character just right.
Yeah.
She's just that attitude she has, and isn't her first appearance? Isn't it the Alias
Yeah.
comic book? Yeah, that's one of those books that I've flirted with for a while, and I just because you can get a 9.8 for like less than $150. Like it's pretty, you get a pretty good deal. $125. Is that because there's a ton of them out there? I don't know, but I love the character.
David Mack cover too.
I was about to say the David Mack run on that would be, if you don't want to spend $125 on a 9.8 of the first appearance, that would just be a nice pickup.
Yeah,
you can get those for cheap. So anyway,
yeah, I picked up her second appearance for $1 at that Valley Comic Con, at the LA Valley Comic Con that we went to.
Right.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like you can get them cheap. All right.
For now.
Yeah, for now. This is big news for you. Daphne's Laura. Well, this is more of like a rumor, so anonymous Twitter account, but Daphne Keene's Laura Kinney /X23 will return. That's what they're claiming. So there we go.
That's great news. Let's go.
Yep.
I have plenty of books and we were talking about like, well, are there any books that I would sell to step up on some of my golden age or silver age books that have a good value? Some of those NYX books might do the trick.
Yeah. So I mean, it felt like it was inevitable that she would be back. So I would. This is one of those rumors that I would, anonymous source, always take with a grain of salt, but I would take this one with a small grain of salt because it just seems like it just makes a lot of sense. Like they brought her back from Deadpool and Wolverine, didn't really seem like her story was finished there. So sounds like they'll.
But tell me this. Give me your opinion on this. Is she a good actor?
I haven't seen her in anything else ever.
Right, and so our only basis on that to judge that is when she was a kid, because she didn't do a ton in Deadpool. Like she was there
as a kid. She was incredible. She was in that movie. Fantastic.
So we have that. I mean, let's assume she is, and she's amazing. That would help the property,
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so this next piece of news is a little bit more related to VFX workers. We've talked a little bit, like maybe a couple times in the last year, that there's been some tension between VFX properties and the way that it's kind of all run, and like pretty much people put in their biddings to do the VFX for movies, and the lowest bidder gets to do it, which seems
Yeah, it's messed up.
counterintuitive. So VFX workers behind Marvel, Disney, and Avatar ratify the first labor contracts. So I pulled up this article, and down here, right here, says the 4-year agreement provides overtime pay, a minimum hours guarantee, annual wage increases, turnaround times, and rest periods equivalent to what editors enjoy, meal penalties, hazard pay, and an end to at-will employment. So something big that was kind of like going on is that they would be sitting around for a long time waiting for footage to show up, or whatever it is that they needed CGI, and then they would just kind of get bombarded with it, and so they would be working like 14, 21 days in a row with like no breaks, and they would just be cranking out the VFX for these movies. So yeah, good that they just will have basic employee rights, it sounds like. So
I mean, it's so messed up because if you in the film industry, everything that's unionized, that's connected with the actual on-set production, it's very highly regulated from of course your rate of pay, the hours you can work, how many hours before they give you a meal break. And if you go over a certain number of hours, they have to bring in another meal, whether they plan for it or not, with craft services. I mean, there's a lot of really worker friendly, I don't want to say perks because they're not perks. It's just like being a decent human being type of things that you give to the people who are involved on these productions. It's long hours. You never know what's going to happen when you start rolling the cameras. But we all know, especially in the world that we're hanging out in, the special effects they're doing. They might be responsible for half the movie's footage.
yeah,
Like they're doing a ton of stuff, but because they're doing it in a computer somewhere 50 miles away from where they shot everything, or 100 miles away, they were getting treated like outside contractors and just getting reamed. So
yeah,
now, so when they say end of at will employment, that means that they are hired as full time. Some getting benefited. I don't know what that means exactly, but I know at will means that you can just get fired. Like, oh, we don't need you
yeah.
today. So there's some guarantees that come with it. So that's a good development for the industry, especially our industry with the VFX.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great that this was specific behind Marvel, Disney, and Avatar, especially Avatar, because Avatar, I mean, that movie, I don't know what the actual percentage is, but Avatar's got to be like more than 50% CGI. I mean, the whole movie is,
Yeah.
I mean, with the exception of a handful of characters, from what I know, I've never seen Avatar. I've seen enough trailers to know that that movie is a lot of CGI. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It was who's the guy who did like Shark Boy and Lava Girl? Who did I can't think of his name. Rodriguez, I think.
oh yeah, Robert
He,
Rodriguez.
yeah, he really showed the industry what it was possible outside of the cost that of bringing a whole bunch of people on set to film something. So now we're seeing even more and more of that with AI and all that. So yeah, it actually saves. It makes them like, I don't want to hear, oh, sorry, we have to make your movie tickets and your subscription services go up in price because we're paying the VFX people more money. I'm going to say, no, wait a minute. No, the VFX people, they save you money.
Yeah.
They save you millions of dollars in production. They're doing something at their computer versus you have a crew of 200 people to get an hour of footage, and they're there for 8 hours. So,
Right. To build the set,
and
to do
you can't.
makeup, all that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. You can't really pay a good VFX person. You probably can't pay them enough because they're saving you no matter how much you're paying them. If they're good, they're saving you money on a production,
Yeah.
hands down. So good on the industry, and I'm happy for all my VFX friends.
Yeah. All right. Moving on here. Marvel Studios reportedly wants Tom Holland's Spider-Man to appear in Avengers Doomsday. So we know he wasn't in the first list with the live stream that they did, and we know that he wasn't in the second list. So this is kind of a rumor. Apparently they're working out a deal. As this says right here, Marvel Studios is currently working out a deal with Tom Holland himself. Sony Marvel already has a deal in place with Sony, with but they still need to finalize the financial agreement with Holland and sort out scheduling. So, like I said earlier, Odyssey finished 2 weeks early, which is great for him because Avengers Doomsday is already in production. So the sooner that they can get him on set, now that he's got 2 weeks of freed up time. I mean, he's a busy actor. I don't know if he's got anything else coming up that would kind of intervene. But I mean, you can do a lot in 2 weeks. Just filming. So hopefully they get it wrapped up. So
how are they going to fit all these characters in this movie? Are they just going to have like one massive battle scene and throw everybody into it? Because if you give every one of those characters one line, that's like an hour of the movie right there.
Yeah, I don't imagine that many people will have speaking lines. I think it's going to be more team focused, like the X-Men, the FF, the Avengers, and I think it's going to be like a Avengers versus X-Men kind of hybrid, but with all of them, and then just their leaders probably speaking, and then maybe some interactions between like Jean Grey and Wolverine, because kind of everyone wants to see that interaction again, because it's been 11 years since Days of Future Past, which I just rewatched the other night, and that's the last time Hugh Jackman and Jean Grey interacted. So yeah, but it's like
nice.
I feel like with X-Men, that's like you're probably going to hear from like Magneto, Cyclops, Professor X, and then some other characters here and there, and then FF. Well, you can kind of have the whole FF interact, and then the Avengers. Yeah. So I don't know. I think they'll figure it out. I trust the Russo brothers. We watched Civil War the other night as well, and I was just like, man, the Russo brothers, like, this movie is so good, and like honestly, when you let them cook, they know how to cook. So like, I had like a little bit of doubt of like how Avengers Doomsday was gonna work, and then I came home because Darren and I are watching through the Marvel movies in timeline order, so not like order of release, but like how they kind of are in their timeline. And I will say a lot of the movies that I didn't like before, I've liked a little bit more being in their context in like where it's supposed to be in the timeline. But anyway, so we were at Civil War, and I had just watched it like not too long ago, so I told her, I was like, oh, you can watch it without me. But then when I came home, she was about an hour in, which was like the perfect time to jump in because it was like before Spider-Man gets introduced and before the airport scene. And so watching that, and then like the end battle scene with Bucky, Cap, and Iron Man, and I'm just like, man, this movie is so good. Like it's a comic book movie, and it like feels so much like it. So
yeah,
I believe in whatever they'll do.
I do have a show and tell. I forgot.
Oh yeah,
it's just a selfie, so it doesn't really. But this is the great long box. We see your face already. You're gonna give us a selfie. But this was I took this I think yesterday. We're staying at a villa. We had stock the kitchen for all the students. And so I was walking through this grocery store, and I saw this, so I took a picture of it, and I'll just put it up to the screen here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Iron Man figurine from the co-op here in Borgo San Lorenzo.
Nice.
There we go.
Yeah.
So I didn't buy it, but I did take a selfie of it. I was hurt because they had Iron Man and they had Spider-Man, they had Captain America. They didn't have any Fantastic Four.
Not yet.
So, not yet, but they will. They haven't gotten the hype of the movie behind them like these others. But yeah, that was so there's I do have a show and tell. I completely forgot. But I took that with you guys in mind.
Nice.
So yeah, it's nice, and you can't tell from what I showed you on the package, but all the writing is in Italian, so that's the kind of stuff I'm going to pick up here, like something that clearly says Italy,
right? Yeah.
On it. So anyway, there you go. There's my show and tell.
Awesome. All right, next piece of news. Marvel Studios updated their yearly output plan: 3 movies max, 1 to 2 live action shows, 2 animated shows. I like with this person, heavy spoilers. He's a great YouTube channel. He said, swear this is what they were doing anyway. I agree. I thought this is kind of felt. I think this is the pace they were already going. So I don't know. But yeah, keep it up, I guess. Okay. Yeah. This next piece right here. This is a big one for you, kind of. An
All right.
Annihilator's film is reportedly in the works at Marvel Studios. So this would
A
include
film where, okay.
Norrin Rad, Silver Surfer, Beta Ray Bill, Thor, Adam Warlock, Annihilator, or not Annihilus, goodness gracious, Ronin, and Gladiator, and there's some other Annihilator. What's the word I'm looking for?
Characters?
Members, yeah.
Members.
So
Members. That's the word. Wow. That is big news. That's what you said. So Silver Surfer. So yes, of course, FF48, Silver Surfer 1, and everything else. Warlock. Don't you have the first Warlock? Wasn't that collection you just bought?
yeah. Oh, well, it's like I don't even know what. There's like so many different like first. It's like first time Adam Warlock is named Adam Warlock. First Cocoon, like, which is the first one? I honestly don't know. But I have the Thor one where he's like holding his hand out.
Okay, so based on the things we've talked about before, in the end, the industry decides it dubs the one, and it usually is just as the one that's most desirable, right?
Yeah.
I would argue that Fantastic Four 67 is the first appearance because it's the first appearance of him. And they don't name him as Adam Warlock yet, right? As Warlock, but it's him. But the Thor one that you're talking about, that's the one that I think really popped when recently. So I think that's the one that I think the industry has decided is the one everybody really wants.
So
which is of course the one I don't have.
So my only pushback to the FF one is only the Cocoon in that. Like, does he show up in it at all?
Yeah, well, 66 is just the Cocoon. 67 is the Cocoon until the last page, and in about 5 or 6 panels, you see Warlock's out there, and he looks exactly the way he does. So, but you could say that's not too different from what we get of Venom in 298 ASM. I'm sorry, 299 of ASM. Even though it's only one panel, well, there's 3 panels because you see it in reflection in, I guess, MJ's eyes or whatever. But I would say, that has that really cool splash page of Venom, and then what's the other one? Oh yeah, of course, Wolverine.
Yeah,
just one panel at the end. So it's sort of, we're in that place of arguing where the decision is made by which is the cover everybody wants. Where's he? And I want it to be issue 67 of FF because I have that book and everything.
Yeah.
But I have to be being objective, being fair, as on this podcast. I will say it's the Thor, and I'm losing the issue, but it's the Thor book that's most. And you watch, that's the one that's going to be on the hot list, way above the other ones we just mentioned.
Yeah.
After this announcement.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I know Silver Surfer books have gotten a bump, and some, like the first team appearance of Annihilators has gotten a bump. So, yeah.
Well, what about Thor 337? We've been talking about that book for a while. That book is really a sleeper book.
Yeah, it is,
because, and they're going to do something with Beta Ray Bill because it's a great story. Simonson did a great story there. So
yeah.
And you want to talk about an amazing, iconic, epic first appearance cover. It doesn't really get better than Thor 337. That's just incredible.
Yeah, so, I've got that in a 9/8 newsie. So I'm waiting for it to bump. So hopefully this is it. You don't have to
wait long.
Yeah, hopefully this is it. All right, last piece of news here. First teaser for Spider-Man Noir. Let's see if I don't know if I'll get any audio. Can you hear that?
Have you seen it out there?
No.
You don't hear that?
Oh, here's my my screensaver. Oh, never mind. I should do that. I shouldn't flash my phone. Is there anything on that reveals? No, here it is. Check that out.
Nice. That was that Gabriel Dell'Otto? Yeah, that's cool. Let me see. I can't get the sound working.
Oh no, I'm sorry. No, that's Adam Hughes.
Oh, cool.
Adam Hughes.
Yeah, that's a cool one. All right, let's see. I can't get the audio working on this for some reason, but this is cool. You can see his kind of first full look right there. That's Spider-Man Noir.
I don't see it.
Oh, maybe it. Oh, you know what? Maybe it just doesn't show because of the Well, the viewers saw it. You're
All
unlucky, I
right,
guess.
that's all. I'll look it up.
But yeah, I quote retweeted that little. It's a 30-second teaser trailer. It's really not much. I quote retweeted it and I said, "Nobody asked for this. Give us Silk."
Did you? Good for you. Let's go. Yeah, right.
So
Where's Silk? Where's Cindy Moon?
yeah, no kidding. Yeah, for real. So I mean, Nicolas Cage is in like his bounce back era right now. So it's probably why they move forward with it is because he's kind of everybody loves him again. So it makes sense. It was the right time to make it. So
I'm not worried about Cindy Moon. She's coming
yeah,
eventually.
when the
somewhere.
time is right. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. How much time do you have?
I have, I have a 7:30. I have probably 45 minutes.
All right, plenty of time. Probably too much time, so we'll be good. All right.
I just scared all of our viewers.
Oh no.
Too much. Cut him off.
All right, let's go into. I didn't have plenty of data for this, so this is purely just going to be kind of how we're feeling. You know, how we feel can be a little bit contrary to data, but how we feel is the reality that we live in. So
yeah,
let's
and we make purchases based on that.
Exactly.
Whether we want to admit it or not.
So it's more valuable than any data GPA or Go Collect or Key Comic Collectors can show you. So
you're getting it here first and only.
So how are we feeling about the market at the moment? Good, bad? Prices crazy? Prices you're kind of in a dipping in a different you're swimming in a different pool right now.
Yeah, I've kind of jumped out of temporarily, or who knows, but just out of the pool that's affected quite as radically by news. Golden Age stuff is Golden Age stuff and does what it does. But I feel like the market's in a good place because I feel like there's a lot of, at least from my perspective, a lot of optimism. We've talked about it before. There's new direction in MCU. There's new direction in DCU, we've got our first evidence of it was the Thunderbolts movie, and you loved it. I haven't seen it yet, but the consensus is it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
And so it's good because that means the movie's good, but it's even better because it makes you feel like, okay, the ship's going in the right direction. We can expect more good things. So, there's a lot of anticipation for the Superman movie. And I know this, movies do drive the market a lot. But then we talked about Marvel Rivals, and there's a lot of enthusiasm about these characters that are portrayed in the game, and so you're seeing these characters being re-propped up in pop culture through that and bringing new people in. So yeah, I'm very optimistic. I think, hearing that Beta Ray Bill is being considered for some development, it just reaffirms my optimism about some of these 80s books that have been kind of, meh for a while, outside of maybe like ASM 300 and stuff. But time for some of these 80s books to start to move. And so yeah, I feel pretty good about that. All those spec books that I've talked about for those 80s OG artists and key appearances that you could still get for cheap. I think if you want to if you're looking to spec, that's where I'd look.
Yeah.
Again, not professional advice, but it's how I feel about the market.
Yeah.
I feel optimistic about that. I don't know about the other stuff. I'm going to think some more about it. But if we're going from the gut, I think Bronze Age is still going to. I think Bronze Age will stay affordable for a little longer. But I think Silver Age is going to pop because those things are really down, and I think the 80s are going to start to move.
Yeah. You know what? I just remembered while you were talking. Let me see if I can pull it up here.
You mean you weren't just so enraptured with what I was saying that you couldn't think of anything else?
This you were such a good speaker that you had reminded me of some incredible news, and I was like, wow, I wouldn't have remembered this if it wasn't for his great intellect. Um,
Saved, salvaged.
okay, I can't pull up like an actual post. Maybe. Oh, here we go. Nope, that's not it. Uh, breaking news. Let me see. No, okay. I'm not gonna spend too much time looking for it. But Go Collect announced this week. I don't know if you saw this. Go Collect announced that they're gonna be allowing users to upload private sales data, which this comes with a lot of it just comes with a lot.
Yeah.
For one,
How do you verification?
yeah, exactly, because it's like if oh, last sale on what's on my wall, werewolf. Oh no, what's right there? ASM 129. You're like, oh, last sale was $3,000. So I want to sell it for 3,000, but it's like you manipulated it by like uploading a fake sale. Like that's weird. So I don't know if there's any precautions for that or anything to kind of deal with that. I guess we'll see when they do roll it out. This, if the Instagram pages are diligent to upload their sales data, I think this could be really, really interesting for the market because Instagram sales sometimes go low, like real, real low, and it's not tracked. So when I'm selling stuff, I'm not going off last IG sale. But if these IG consignment pages, if this is something that they're interested in doing, this could really have a big market shape up that might put a dent in the market a little bit.
Yeah, I think they might need to I don't think it should be like a wiki thing because it just be out of control. There's too much potential for market manipulation. But if they do like roll out some kind of program where you get verified as a seller, somehow you prove that you're actually a legitimate retailer of comic books. Then your data is accepted. I think that'd be awesome because just so much doesn't get tracked.
Yeah.
And I don't know that the Instagram sellers would want to take the time to do it. They would need to get incentivized somehow because they're basically creating the product that Go Collect sells. So they should get something for it, right?
Yeah.
Would you sell? You're going to sit down for 3 hours after a sale and upload a bunch of track sales for Go Collect just out of the goodness of your heart? Why would you do it?
Well, if it's slab data, then it's not that bad. Like that would only well for me personally, because I don't. Most of my inventory is raw, so it's not like I'm sitting there like doing a lot of slabs only. But there are like claim sales where it's like they're pretty much almost 100% slabs. Like Jaws, he's not 100% slabs, but he's probably majority slabs. So that might be a lot more work for him, but for me, it'd be like maybe 10 in a sale. I don't know.
You just reminded me to check CGC. I haven't checked it in a week to see if our books have come off of. So they'll do it right here live.
Yeah, let's see.
It's different in Europe. Every time I open up a site, it asks me, "Hey, do you want them to track you? Do you accept these?" It's weird. And okay, here we go. Refresh. No, it still says received.
Dang, crazy.
They received these on April 2nd, and so now it's 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Counting weekends. So it's gonna be they're still in the time frame. Well, it doesn't matter
60
what
more
days. They can change it.
Yeah. So
patience.
Yeah. So I'll probably send our books out sometime next week. So
how do they look? What do you think?
I haven't touched them yet, so I'll probably get to it tomorrow. Right. Yeah. But yeah, that Go Collect news real interesting.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just interested to see how it's applied. I also honestly would not see a lot of incentive for these consignment pages to upload their data because they sell books at such low prices. They would be selling themselves short. Like, because I think the
Right.
market would tank in that scenario. Because we pretty much are going off of like eBay last sales and auction site last sales.
Yeah.
So
And the thing about Heritage, he- it's weird because something that sells, say, on Heritage, the sale is, I don't know if they track it. Like when I get an email from a Heritage and say, well, these are the track books that you were looking at. Here's what they sold for. They give me the price plus the buyer's premium, which is like 20%. So
mm,
do they, which is the price that's reported to, say, uh, Go Collect, or one of this or something like that? What, it's probably that big number because that's the literal number that the buyer pays,
no, I
not
think they
counting
do the
taxes.
sale number, not the.
Okay.
I don't think they include the buyer's premium.
That would I was going to say, because that would be the way to keep it consistent, because on eBay it's the seller who pays the premium, not
Right.
the buyer. So the only way to eliminate that, but I don't know. It's it's good that they're thinking about it, because a lot of data gets a lot of data gets non-tracked.
Yeah.
Not, you know. Maybe also retailers won't, Instagram sellers won't want to report it because they don't want to report it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. So yeah, good points.
So, we'll see.
But yeah, so I think that'll be interesting. Um, as far as the market goes, I just haven't bought much this year. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, I bought the big collection earlier this year, and I pretty much completed everybody else's goals. As far as run fillers go. Um, and I bought like a few things here and there that I've gotten like really, really good deals on. Um, but and I've like missed out on some opportunities to like pick up books. But I'm really just like, as I've said, I was trying to get like the top 10 for the four main titles: ASM, Daredevil, FF, and X-Men. And some of that stuff, I mean, the prices are like low. Um just across the board. I think I mean, I don't know how we keep going down. That's what's kind of blowing me away, is like I just keep seeing cheaper, and every time I'm like, nah, it doesn't get lower than this. It does. And I'm like, dang man, this is crazy.
Mhm.
So um yeah, but I think everything is shockingly low. I mean, yeah, so I'm just kind of like holding out for the like best deals that I can get. Um so I'm not as quick to pull the trigger as I used to be. Um so like for instance, I was in a claim sale the other day, and somebody put up a Captain America issue number 6 from 2006, from the Ed Brubaker run, which is the first appearance of Winter Soldier. And near mint 9.4. I don't fully agree with their grading, but it was like 9.2, 9.092, I think. Um but a high grade copy nonetheless, and they
Mhm.
were $25, and I claimed it instantly. And then when I
I saw that.
yeah, and then when I got the book, I was like, oh, it's probably more like a 9.092. I cleaned it, gave it a press, so I'm like now sitting at like a 9.2. I think it's kind of more around that range. Um, and then I checked eBay last sales. Two last sales were 175 for near mint minus copies, and I was like, wow, I gotta steal. So that's kind of like the books that I've bought recently, is when I see something and I'm like, that seems weirdly priced. Like that was priced like a long time ago before this book was anything. So like that's how I felt with the Fantastic Four 7 with the white page copy that I got at WonderCon. I was like, oh, that seems undervalued at the moment. So I guess you could say like that's kind of like how I'm viewing things, is just I'm seeing stuff that is like
Mhm.
slipping under the radar. Like first appearance of the Winter Soldier, everybody thinks the first Bucky, which is Cap 1, but Winter Soldier is probably the more popular pop culture relevant
Mhm.
character. Obviously, we'd all love to have a Captain America 1, but that book is
Yeah,
that's like
long
people.
gone.
Yeah, that's people just people who buy that book are people who are like they need to spend money for tax purposes. Like, um, so Captain America 6, First Appearance of the Winter Soldier seems genuinely like the second best option if you're a Bucky fan. So,
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so that's interesting because you hit on something there too. When you're, maybe it's best as a collector to not have a a defined focus sometimes. Like I'm
mm.
only getting Catwoman Golden Age covers. I'm only gonna get Frank Miller covers from the '80s. If you do that, then you're telling your brain to buy them when you see them, and also you're telling yourself ignore good deals on books that don't fall under that category,
Mm.
and so you lose opportunities. But there's something to be said about the discipline of just trying to complete a certain thing. But I think you have to find a balance there, because like you said, sometimes, and it happens to me more often than I want to admit, I'm telling myself I'm only doing these X, Y, and Z. That's what I'm going to look for. And then I'm on a claim sale or at a con or scrolling eBay or Heritage or whatever, and I wind up buying, you know, three things that aren't on that list because they were really good prices.
Yeah.
But with the bummer, which is great, you want to be opportunistic on the one hand, but then what happens when 2 days after that you send me an Instagram message and says, "Hey, look at this awesome Golden Age Catwoman cover." And I say, I can't. I just spent my money on these three other things that aren't even that, you know.
Yeah.
So, hey, your face disappeared. I see the is
Yeah,
that you?
I don't know what happened there.
I
Let
see
me
I see the dancing blue cubes.
and my time might be
There
over
we
here. Do you see
Oh,
me
you
or
have
is
a certain
this?
amount of time?
No, we
No, I
don't.
just I
But I something's wrong with my
oh,
not
okay.
fully sure what it is. Maybe I can
Well,
try this.
we didn't talk about the Superman trailer. Oh, he left me alone in the stream. I haven't, well, he didn't really leave me alone in the stream. It's not a stream, it's a recording. So whatever I say, you can cut it. But let me tell you some secrets about Joshua. No, it's kidding.
Wait, can you
No,
see me?
I hear you laugh. No, I can't see you, but I hear you laughing, so I know you're here. Well, and you're talking to me. There's that too. I
Okay. Oh,
see.
there we go.
Okay. All right. So anyway, which is better, guys? Better to pick one thing, like Rohan does. He's very, very disciplined, and because of that discipline, he's reaching his goals. Um, but I'm sure he would admit, yeah, there's some great purchase deals I didn't go for because this is not what I'm going for.
Sure.
So I guess everybody is to each his own, I guess. But I
Yeah.
do always allow for the emotional buy and also the just the opportunistic buy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's how I feel cuz I know when I like, I'm looking for the white page top 10 of those four titles, and so those aren't going to come across every week, every month. Like that's few and far between. And
Right.
even then, it's got to be a copy that I like. So I'm not saying I was in a position to buy this book, but there was an X-Men 1 2.0 white pages that came up for sale this past week. Um,
Honestly, how could a
and
book be a 2.0 but still have white pages? That's incredible.
so there was like tape on the spine, and yeah, I mean, I didn't buy it because I'm not hunting those X-Men 1, FF1, ASM1, or like the top five ASMs. Like those are just I'm kind of chipping away at the small stuff first. So yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh dang, that'd be cool. And I know that this isn't gonna come around. I called it like this is not a book that's you find in white pages in low grade all the time. But I was fine with it because I'm not pulling
I,
$5,000 out of nowhere.
yeah, right. I think I'm going to start going for, I like to collect scarcity, so I'm going to narrow my focus to the top 10 of all those ones that you're looking for, 5.0 or higher, but it has to be brittle pages.
Real scarce.
Like, can I get a 5.0 with brittle pages, or will I
It-
have to expand to the somewhat brittle pages?
isn't that funny about like scarcity? Like we talked about like the indie comics last week, and we had some
Yeah.
people we had a couple
Yeah, good
people
information you
like
got. Yeah.
engage, and I was talking with Rohan, and Rohan was talking about like scarcity, and I'm like, you can just throw the word scarcity around for any, like, brittle pages are scarce. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. Like
Exactly.
there's, I mean, ratio variants. You talked about that. Like those are intentionally scarce. Doesn't matter that it's intentional. It's still scarce. Like
Yeah.
so like the scarcity thing is like I don't know. It's like I
Yeah.
get it,
A
but I
lot of
don't
things
get it at
makes
the same time.
yeah. It has to be desirable scarce. Like, okay, this is a printing where it's a wrong color on the cover. People like those scarcities, but do people like the scarcity where this one? I've got a copy of Jungle Action 6, the first Killmonger, where the splash page was printed or cut about a half an inch larger, or even more than a half an inch larger than the rest of the book, so it sticks out along three of the four sides.
Mm.
Uh, does that make the book more valuable? I don't actually think it does.
Yeah.
But find me another copy that has that. It might be a one of one, but no, I'm not getting anything extra for it. I
Yeah.
didn't pay much for it because it's looked at as a defect rather than oh, this has got the first um cat. Oh my gosh, my brain. I didn't sleep a lot last night. What's the not Catwoman, but
Black
what's
Cat?
Marvel's cop? Yeah, Black Cat. Um, where it has a yellow stripe.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Um, that's a desirable one. So
Yeah.
who decides? I know that brittle pages, there's a reason that wouldn't be desirable, but once it's in a slab, does it really matter?
Yeah. Unless you break it out, then it's not desired at all because that book is coming
Not at
apart.
all. Crumbling in your hands.
Yeah.
I've had books that are brittle pages. Brittle is a pretty severe word. Like brittle to me means like it'll crunch like a dry leaf. It's not
Yeah.
that. That's not what they mean. It's not that like that.
Mm.
It's
That's what I've always
you know.
pictured. I don't know.
Yeah, see, because that's what brittle means, but
Yeah.
that's not what it is.
Or
I
like,
don't know.
isn't there a
Maybe
brittle
somebody
cookie?
this. Yes, there is, which
Yeah.
crumbles.
Yeah.
Okay, what we need is either I take a book that has brittle pages and I take it out of the slab and we test it, or we have a book and we send a bunch of scuffed books in that we don't care about, that don't have a lot of value, but to try to see what brittle pages actually means by what, because
Yeah.
but anyway, I think it'd be easier just to take a book out that says brittle and see what it is.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing that with my brittle page books because one of them is from 1935 and it's not coming out of the slab.
Yeah. For sure. All right. Yeah. Market. I mean, it's down. We're not showing any signs of bouncing back anytime soon. Random things get hot, which is normal, and I have signs of a healthy market, I suppose. Because if something's announced, like if something big is announced and it doesn't get hot, or show new high sales, then I guess that's not a great sign. But it seems like the market as a whole is kind of where it's at.
If we're basing, and we are, and we do, the comic book market, if it's tethered to the economy in general, then it's really hard to have any kind of certainty because the economy in general is bouncing all over the place right now, and nobody really knows where they stand,
Yeah.
whether it's the stock market, the job market, uh, inflation. Like we're all kind of holding in a holding pattern because it's something new every day,
Yeah.
and that has massive macro effects on the economy. So, how can we expect to have clarity in the comic book market when it's tied to something that right now is bouncing around? So,
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Should we finish up here with this Superman trailer?
yeah, let's do it.
All right. A little fun fact. So that scene in the beginning of the trailer where Lois Lane is interviewing Superman, not Clark Kent, she's interviewing Superman, is a 12-minute scene, which makes up for 10% of the movie. Kind of crazy. That is
Hmm.
also that scene is also the chemistry test that they did for Clark and Lois. So that is the scene that I think Rachel is her name and David is his name. I'm forgetting her last name, Broshanen or something like that. David Cornsweat. So they acted out that scene as a chemistry test, and so
Mm.
that's what got them both the job. So
Wow.
pretty high standards. That scene in particular is kind of, it's got a lot of discourse around it, because as the young people say, Superman's kind of crashing out, and is that a quality of Superman? um I think that what they were talking about was really interesting, but I think I might kind of lean more on the side that I'm not quite sure Superman would crash out like that, and just
What
start.
does what does crash out mean by the way as you put it, the young people
Uh,
say it?
so it's just like kind of lose control of your emotions. You know, you're yelling, you're
Mhm.
screaming, like, um, yeah, something makes you crash out. It's just like,
Okay.
yeah,
See, my generation crash out means I'm going to bed.
yeah, right, yeah, no. So it's like the exact opposite of that. Something,
Okay.
is getting you fired up, and you're like, the connotation is like mad, like it's making you like visibly and audibly like you are frustrated. So
Okay. Yeah. Why can't Superman crash out? He's human. I mean, he's not. He's an alien,
got
but
him.
he's raised. Yeah, busted. End of story. No, but he's raised in a human environment by human parents, and he has human emotions. So
Yeah.
why you know
At a girl? You
anyway?
crash out on a girl?
Well,
A woman?
well, I
Sorry.
don't know well, yeah, I don't know. Is he crashing out on her or on? Yeah, I don't know. The accusation. I think I'm guessing takes place early in the movie to set up for
Yeah, I
the
feel like it.
audience what the central conflict is about surrounding how people are viewing heroes in general and Superman, thinking he's doing the right thing. So he has somewhat of a crisis there, but not like the the last rendition of Superman where the whole thing was having a crisis, but more like out of naivety, like no, I'm doing the right thing. I'm helping people. This is what's wrong, And so it's a clash of cultures between, like we talked about this before, between the the optimistic kind of old fashioned versus, you know, kind of the let's judge every little thing everybody ever does culture that we kind of are living in right now. And so I think that sets us that whole conflict up, and I think it's a really a good development as far as the story arc, the character arcs for this movie, um, and I think it happens before Clark and Lois become a thing. It's they probably that's the chemistry is that they have this attraction or whatever, but then Lois slips into reporter mode, and so his anger might be also tied to the fact that you know he has feelings or attracted to her, and now it's all going south. Who knows? But I thought it was cool, man. As an old reporter myself, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
get him, ask those questions.
Yeah, I would assume that they're already together if she knows he's Superman. I don't think he would just like,
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right.
yeah. So they're probably together. I think so. I'm not a Snyder cultist. I think some of the like Snyder era movies are good. I just rewatched Justice League also like last week. I think before we did the last episode, and there's definitely moments where I'm like, oh, this is good, and then there's other moments where I'm like, this is not the same. Like this is not from the same movie. Like you can't convince me that this came from the same script. Like it just feels so off. But Batman vs Superman, I think, is overhated, underrated. I think Batman vs Superman is actually really good. I think Ben Affleck. I mean, I think he's a fantastic Batman. And so I think there's some cheesy moments that like steal from the plot of that movie. But it is what it is. And so, um, yeah, I do like them. I think I like them more than most the general audiences kind of feel about them. But I don't think that they're like the like Bible to Superman and Batman, and like how they should be. Like I don't think it's something that should be repeated. I think it was like, they I don't think he set a standard for anything, which I think is what like how Snyder cultists kind of, well, that's how they're referred to online, but that's kind of like how they treat those movies, is like this is the standard and nothing is ever going to reach it again. And I think that's definitely not the case. But all that to say, I found it funny that like the one of the biggest critiques on Cavill's Superman is that he's dark and edgy. And after rewatching Justice League and Batman vs Superman, I don't know where that like it came from. I think it came from the 4-hour Zack Snyder Justice League cut where he like dons the black suit, but in the Justice League, like he died or he was already dead and then he was resurrected, and he had this moment of like he had just been resurrected and he fights the Justice League, but then he like goes back to his home, sees his mom, sees Lois, and then kind of like finds his humanity, and then goes back out to fight with the Justice League to go fight not Darkseid, Steppenwolf, and he's like not dark or edgy at all for the rest of the movie. So I'm like, wait, where was he this dark edgy guy? But this is like the first trailer for Superman. This is what James Gunn said. This is calling this the first trailer. Everything else was a sneak peek. So the fact that like it starts out with Superman yelling and not like this hopeful like symbol, I'm like, okay, so then what are the people online that were just fighting for like this is the happy-go-lucky, smiley, saving cat from a tree Superman? Like, what are they gonna say now? Like, because to make a complex character complex on screen, you have to write in this this conflict that's and for this version of Clark, it's both inner and outer conflict. It's the inner conflict of him saying like I'm saving lives and I'm doing good, but then the outer conflict of like you're operating outside the bounds of the law, and he's like, well, saving lives is like against the law all of a sudden. Like I literally stopped a war from happening. And so that's kind of like the basis of his crash out. But I think that makes him like an interesting character, is that both his the conflict that he's feeling inside is having negative ramifications on the outside. So therefore, you're going to have negative emotions from this Superman who's dealing with this negative criticism coming from Lois, but inevitably, or she's just being like a speaker for what, I mean, I assume like what the internet is saying and what other uh, international governments are saying is like, who's this guy to intervene, so to say. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting. I don't necessarily know if I agree with like him kind of losing his cool, but I mean, when you see everything in context, it's a lot different. So I'm not like holding on to that as like Superman should never lose his cool. Like he's always got to be humble and he's always got to be like a beacon of hope. Like I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that, but I mean, maybe in its full context, it'll make more sense. So, but I take
Look,
those feelings into the movie, but
if he's losing his cool over defending the very way he sees himself and what his primary motivation for anything he ever does is, then you know that's odd. Like, why that's why wouldn't you lose your cool over being questioned on that thing? And when you talk about like the Zack Snyder, Henry Cavill, dark Superman, I don't think calling it dark is the people who say it's dark. I think it's it's not the right vocabulary. No shade or anything, but it's more on how Superman is portrayed in those movies. Superman, the focus of those movies was Superman. Superman's struggle. Superman who lets his father die. That would never happen in the comics.
yeah,
Superman would find a way to save him. Superman who, like that. Remember the movie poster where he's dragging the ship by a chain,
yeah,
and behind, the actual people that Superman is supposed to be helping aren't even in focus. They're just in the back, like killing each other, and Superman is just staring like he's Rocky or something,
mm,
dragging the ship. It's the focus is what makes it feel dark, because that's not the critics of it say no. Superman's not self-absorbed. Superman is others absorbed, and so that makes it feel dark because we don't really want to I'd say we don't really want, but people didn't really appreciate as much the existential Superman is always thinking about, his role and everything. Now this one, it sounds like Superman absolutely already knows what his role is. My role is to save people. And what do you mean I should be saving people? Like that's who I am. That's what I do. That's why I'm here. So I get that he would be angry about that. It's like someone's
Yeah.
questioning your very reason for existing. So I thought it actually affirmed the non-dark Superman, if I want to use the word dark,
Mm.
that he would get. So we'll see. Like I I was pumped. I did think it made the relationship thing a lot more complex and interesting than say the 1977 movie with Christopher Reeves and Margot Kidder, where it's just they make goo goo eyes at each other, and next thing you know, Superman's flying her through the city, in a dress, well, not Superman in a dress, but that sort of thing. And so anyway, uh,
Well, I think that's the
I
connection that like people have been making is to that scene in the original Superman is when she's interviewing him and he's calm, cool, collected. And it is what it is. And I think
confident, yeah,
yeah. And I think that's just like what and he's in the Superman suit, which I think is like a really it's tough because he's saying that okay, you're interviewing Superman, but he's not in the suit. So maybe that is a little bit of like the conflict of the situation is like he's dressed as Clark Kent, so visually he's Clark Kent right now. He's not actually being
right.
Superman because he's not wearing the cape and the colors. So I did find that interesting. That's not something that I've seen a lot of people on the internet talk about in regards to that scene that we saw. Because I saw somebody else post the interview with from the original Superman, and yeah, Christopher Reeve was in the suit and doing the interview. So um, yeah, I feel like that's definitely important to their conversation. Is
It,
he's saying he's
it sets up.
Superman, but it's a little bit of both because he's not in the suit.
He's not in a suit. Yeah, good point. I think that it sets up that maybe Superman slash Clark Kent doesn't go on a character arc. Lois does, because Lois is questioning him and then sees him differently later. I don't know, which would be consistent with like the real conservative Superman fans who don't want to see any arc with that character. He is who he is and always will be what he is. And I don't know if that makes for great storytelling though. Like you have to have something
See, and I
for
think
your protagonist.
I think that's what makes Henry Cavill's Superman like respectable at the very least. Like whether you like him or not, you have to
Yeah,
respect it because they weren't going to give us another Christopher Reeves and they weren't going to give us another what's his name, Brandon Routh for that Superman Returns where Kevin Spacey was Lex Luthor. Like cuz Brandon Routh was I mean, as far as I know, I've never seen. Well, I think I saw that movie when I was a kid, but I'm pretty sure that movie was actually supposed to be a continuation from like the retcon of the early Superman movies, and so he was actually technically playing Christopher Reeve. So, um, yeah, Snyder's and Cavill's take on Superman was literally like, okay, let's not do that. So you introduce like these a little bit more complex, maybe you talk about like not saving the dad and the ship thing, like maybe bringing a little bit more broad of a look onto the character as opposed to like this guy's hope and like that's all you need to know. So they're like, okay, well let's like broaden the lens a little bit and let's see like what else is kind of going on here. I think the first 45 minutes of Man of Steel is incredible. I would be surprised if the first 45 minutes of the Superman beats Man of Steel. But to make a comparison, so in Man of Steel, when he goes into the bar and he sees like the biker dude or the fisherman or whatever, and he's like verbally kind of bugging the waitress, and Superman's just or Kent is just there, and he stands up for her. They have a little I think that they have a little tussle. It's been a while since I watched it, but a little tussle, and then he leaves, and then he puts like the telephone pole through the guy's truck, and so that's 100% something that where you're like, dude, Superman would never do that. But as a viewer, like you're viewing that as justice because it's like, yeah,
yeah,
this dude was like verbally assaulting and making this woman like really uncomfortable. And so that's just something that, hopefully everybody doesn't approve of and doesn't like. And so when you see
Right.
Superman drive a wooden telephone pole through the guy's truck, you're like, yeah, that's justice and that's a good thing. So maybe what will precede the interview of Lois and Superman is that war and like what actually happens in that war. And so when we see it played out, when we see innocent lives be saved, and Lois is like putting the pressure on him, maybe then we'll also be like Clark, where it's like, hey, no, he was doing good. What are you talking about? Like, and we'll be crashing out with him. So that's why I say, yeah, exactly. That's why I say like, yeah, like I can have these feelings, but it's not in context. And so it's like I take it into the movie with like an open hand, because seeing things in its context is totally different.
I'll say this. I love the scenes with Lex Luthor in the Fortress of Solitude. I love the scene that we get, just the glimpse of Clark with his dad. Like I'm pumped, man. Sitting all the like key things.
Yeah.
The guy portraying Lex looks like he's gonna kill the role. He looks really like dislikable in an energetic and kind of manic way. It's perfect.
Yeah, and he played Beast, if you remember, in the X-Men movies.
Yes.
Yeah, and he was the second. He was going to be Batman, but Pattinson beat him out. And then I think he also auditioned for Superman and also lost. So he's coming to the Lex Luthor role with like he's got some L's, so he's gonna hate Batman. He's gonna hate Superman.
The whole thing was an elaborate setup to make this actor so angry that he is perfect for the Lex Luthor role.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
channeling all that frustration.
Yeah. Something that I think won't change in context, though, is the color grading for this movie. I can't stand the way that this movie looks. I think it looks
really, I like it.
Disgusting.
I disagree. I think it looks great. No, man.
It's the it's the same cinematographer of the Flash movie, so we all know what happened there.
I didn't even see the Flash movie, so
well, there you go. Yeah, so you didn't see the botched Christopher Reeve CGI that they didn't get approval of.
The Flash movie went by too fast, but boom.
I think he was also the cinematographer for The Suicide Squad, which was the newer one with Margot Robbie and John Cena. And then he was also the cinematographer for Guardians 3, which I think he used. You can see a little bit of the Suicide Squad in the trailer, like same like color grading and exposure. I think it was a lot more toned down in Guardians, kind of just to set it in like the Marvel universe and the way that those Marvel movies look. So I don't know, maybe it'll look different on the big screen, but maybe not.
All right. Well, I'm excited. We'll that'll be pretty soon after I get back in the States.
Yeah.
So we'll get a chance to see that soon.
Yeah, Jurassic Park. And then the week after Jurassic Park is Superman, and the week after Superman is Fantastic Four, which people have been it's gonna be a busy July. People have been pointing out that Superman beat the FF trailer in 4 days. The Superman trailer has about 20-ish million views, and FF was at 19 million views. And they're like, "See, this movie's gonna be better," yada yada yada. But my critique to that is, Superman is the most recognizable logo in the entire world. So the fact that it's like not more than 20 million in 4 days is kind of crazy. So FF has some of the worst comic book movies in the history of comic book movies, and it's sitting up there at around the 20 million number for views. Yeah. So that's not a comparison I would have been drawing as a defense for Superman.
You and I will take 20 million views on a bad day, right? That'd be
totally. Yeah.
We'll take it.
Light stuff. All right, is that it?
Yeah, that's it. I gotta go get some prosciutto and pizza somewhere.
Yummy. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching this first ever video call episode of the Comic Room Pod. You can follow us on Instagram. I'm at Spros_comics, and he is at Mr. Period Longbox. Yeah, we'll be back next week. Appreciate you guys. See ya.
Yeah, thanks. Take it easy.